is a very special time of year. All the holidays are all together, and there's so many different holidays that are all coming up in December, and we just finished with our Thanksgiving. So it's a time of beauty, connection, community, care, joy, giving, celebration, and merriment. Or not so much. It doesn't always work for everyone, and it depends on what you're going through. It can be a challenging time of year for many, with feelings of loneliness and isolation, of overwhelm and not enough. It can be a time of depression and restrictions sometimes. It feels that way. And if there's any challenges going on, and we all go in and out of challenges in our lives, but if that is happening, it is like magnified this time of year. And especially if you have experienced a loss of any sort, you feel it more in this time. I think the consciousness is heightened in this time of year. I really do, where we really are sensitive to so much. If we were sad before, it's going to magnify, and if we were happy before, that's going to magnify. But just know, it passes. So this time of year can be a real dichotomy, and I find it sometimes challenging to address it, because I don't want to focus on the challenges, but I don't want to overlook them either. I don't want to just, you know, make it all like happy and joyous and everyone's like, what do they call it? Rainbows and lollipops and unicorns and all that stuff. But you know what? Life happens. And when life happens, we go with that. We go with that whole flow, knowing it's going to pass. We don't want to do a spiritual bypass on anything. So Ernest Holmes tells us in the Science of Mind book, we are not so cold-blooded as to say a person with pain that there is no such thing as pain. That is not our idea or purpose. We admit the fact. It is a quite different thing to admit its necessity. So we don't want to, you know, like I've been to spiritual places where it's, don't say that and don't feel that. And it's like, why? I am feeling that. I feel that way. And I want to acknowledge how I feel. I don't, however, as I've said before, want to stop and, you know, and build a condo in hell, but I do want to move through it. I do want to move through it, but I want to acknowledge it, and we should. It's healthy. It's very healthy. So let me say to each one of you that no matter where you are in this holiday season, I am so glad that you are here this morning. I'm really happy. And let me really make that clear. I don't mean just here a joyful gathering spiritual center, but that's really good. I'm glad to see the seats being filled. That makes me happy. But rather, I mean it in a much bigger and more significant way. This morning, I am glad you are here in this life expression with each and every one of us. We're all here together in this loving energy that is Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center. In this time, in this space, we are all here at this moment. And I believe that if we use this season to be a reminder to more fully embrace the consciousness of the Christ, then we can capture the spirit of the season and be brought into a place of connection, communion, and care, which brings renewal and hope and joy wherever our hearts may be in this season. So if we're feeling really down, then this is the place to be. If we're feeling like Reverend Michael and I, very up, then this is the place to be. This is the place to be, right here. So what is the consciousness of the Christ? You'll hear a lot about that next month. And that will be explored in the next few talks. Let's at least make sure that we are all on the same page about the phrase. Ernest Holmes says so beautifully in his Science of Mind book, he located God and the kingdom of heaven within himself. And who is Holmes talking about when he says he? Of course, the man we describe as our master teacher, one of the master teachers, and the man who became the Christ, the anointed one. Remember, that wasn't Jesus' last name. It was a title, you know? It was Jesus of Nazareth. It was a title. Christ is a title given to many people in that time. So back to the quote. He located God and the kingdom of heaven within himself. He plunged beneath the material surface of creation and found its spiritual cause. This cause he called God, or the Father. It is now over 2,000 years of this man who labored in the vineyard of human endeavor. This is still Ernest Holmes. Pointing away to eternal reality. Centuries have passed, nations have risen, only to decline and fall. Science has solved many problems. Invention has harnessed subtle forces. And our land is filled with institutions of learning, and the world is looking for another great teacher, one who will again show it the way. And it seems as though we cannot be satisfied until we have made this great discovery for ourselves. But to how few come the real truth, the realization that God is indwelling the soul and the spirit of each of us. And this realization of God indwelling the soul and spirit within each one of us is the consciousness of the Christ. That is Christ consciousness. And our time of the, and this is our time of the month, is all about awakening up to this Christ consciousness. And the definite recognition and acknowledgement of ourselves as sons and daughters of God is the consciousness of Christ that we are talking about. Oh, all about awakening that consciousness in all of us. It's there. How many people don't realize that? Many. Because they wouldn't be in wars that are going on today. They wouldn't be in those conflicts that are going on today if they realized how the greatness that lies within each and every one of us. Each one of us has this greatness. Most people have it all covered up. And we are so grateful that these teachings awaken that consciousness within us, because it's the way to live life. It truly is. So today we will be focusing on capturing the spirit of you. This is about each and every one today. And I love this story of a U.S. Congressman, Samuel Tribble, and he told this about his daughter. He had a conversation with his wife, and they decided to teach their daughter that she was her own person, and who she was important. Now, this occurred in the early 1900s, which is the same time, actually, that New Thought was really coming to life, and all over the planet, really. Back to the story. Whenever Congressman Tribble's daughter went, wherever she went, the little girl was constantly associated with her father. Oh, you must be Congressman Tribble's daughter. Well-intentioned adults would say. One day, she came to her parents crying that she wanted to be herself, not simply known as Congressman Tribble's little girl. Her father loved on her. sounds like they were great parents, and told her not to worry about it. She can just be herself. Her mother gave her a tangible suggestion. She said, the next time that happens, just stand right up and say, no, I am Constant Tribble. The opportunity arose just a few days later. A group of people met her. And when they heard her name, they said, why, you must be Congressman Tribble's little girl. Constance looked right back at them and said, no, no, that is not what my mother says. So good you got that. It's got a ripple effect, doesn't it? So we can be assured that Congressman Tribble was her father, and the only part of who Constance Tribble was, she rightly believed in herself to be unique, because we all are, each one, individually unique. And she wanted to be known as her own person. And each and every one of us is a unique expression of the one perfect life, the one perfect mind. That's the absolute truth of what lies within us. That is the truth. Our mind might not have, not our mind, but our brain might not have caught up to that yet, but that is the absolute truth. Each and every one of us is a unique expression of the divine. Holmes writes again in Science of Mind, there is but one mind. Each individual, however, is a unique variation of the universe. Perfect with the reading today. No two people are alike, and yet all are rooted in that which is identical. The higher the sense of this truth, the greater will be the realization of the uniqueness of our individual character and personality. The real self is God-given and cannot be denied. It is the place where God comes to the point of individuation and personified expression. I am the light of the world. That's a great affirmation. Look in the mirror every day and say, I am the light of the world. This is so powerful because we know that the law is responding to whatever we think, feel, or say. Persian poet Rumi said this a bit more poetically when he wrote, do you know who you are? You are the manuscript of a divine letter. You are the mirror reflecting a noble face. This universe is not outside of you. Look inside yourself. Everything that you want, you have already that. And so how many of us are familiar with the name Abraham Maslow? Many of us. He was an American psychologist who was known to have been the founder of a movement called the humanistic psychology. And he created the hierarchy of human needs. He came up with this chart, the pyramid. And you remember that maybe from your school days, or if you were at any of the 2 David Diamond workshops, you will also remember that. We went into that in great depth with the Maslow chart and the chakras, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So briefly, we'll go over it briefly. Physiological needs, that's on the bottom, is that which is needed for our survival. Air, water, food, clothing, shelter are all psychological needs. And after those have been met, we have safety needs. which include physical security, financial security, health, and well-being. After the physiological and safety needs are fulfilled, we go to the third level of human needs. And they involve the feeling of belongingness through friendship, emotional intimacy, family, social groups, etc. The bottom line is we need to love and we need to be loved. That's the bottom line. But next up the ladder is esteem. All humans have a need to feel respected. And if you know my definition personally of love, that's the word I use. I don't really understand that whole love thing, but I understand respect. And so, if I respect myself and I respect others, then I am loving myself and I am loving others. Maslow noted that there are two versions of esteem. A lower version of esteem, which is the need, as I just said, for respect from others, and the higher version, which manifests itself as the need for us to respect ourselves. And finally, at least this is in his original hierarchy, is self-actualization. And Maslow said, what a man can be, he must be. That's self-actualization. This quotation forms the basis of the need for self-actualization. I believe the person who has captured the spirit of him or herself is the self-actualized person. You really know and love who you are. And I want to say it. To hell with everyone else and their opinions, because I'll tell you what, everyone's got an opinion. You know? So let them keep their opinion. Your opinion is of yourself. To respect and love who you are. Maslow stated that there are three ways of being in which a self-actualized person engages. And I want to look at those briefly this morning to capture the spirit of you. So first, self-actualized people are independent, as I said, of the opinion of others. In other words, and the title of Terry Cole Whitaker, who's a brilliant speaker and author, their classic book many years ago was What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. Really good book. But my friends, what you think of yourself is all that matters. Truly, and bottom line, you are with you 24/7. You are with you all the time. There is no, like, I'm going to leave myself at home today. You are with you all the time. That's the truth. And this is the truth of who you are. You are, to quote Rumi, you are a manuscript, I get so excited, of a divine letter. You are a mirror reflecting a noble face. The entire universe lives inside of you, and everything that you want is already there. You are the place where God comes to a point of individualized and personified expression. You are the light of the world. So, repeat this after me. I am a manuscript of a divine letter.
I am a manuscript of a divine letter.
I am a mirror reflecting a noble face.
I am a mirror reflecting a noble face.
The entire universe lives inside of me.
The entire universe lives inside of me.
And everything I want, is already here.
Is already here.
I am the place, where God comes to a point of individualized and personified expression. I world.
I am the light of the world.
So you are. So you are. Moves us on to the second. Self-actualized people are detained or detached from the outcome, while staying focused on what they desire to experience. If you've ever seen those charts they have, you know, the desire and goals is here, and then the attachment to the outcome, that should not even be there, because it is much more of a joy, a peace, a self-actualization when we are not attached to the outcome. I am still working on that. It's not going that great, but I'm still doing it because I won't give up. I just love manifesting things and people and feelings and you know, but to be in a place where we have those desires, and if it doesn't take place the way we want it to, we just let it be, and we are not attached to that outcome. Much more peace. And I'll tell you that straight up religious science as well. Most of us are very attached to our results. And do you know where attachment comes from? It is based on the fear of not getting what you want and not trusting the law, divine law. The field of pure potentiality, not trusting the true self. To self-actualize, this is really good. To self-actualize is to capture the spirit of you, to move into that Christ consciousness. We must release the fear that keeps us attached. And so I'm going to ask you to repeat this after me. I release the fear.
I release the fear.
And detach from the outcome.
And detach from the outcome.
Because I know it's all God.
Because I know it's all God.
So it's all good.
So it's all good.
Self-actualize is the third part. Third, self-actualized people have no investment in power or in the control of other people. Marianne Williamson, who is now running for the second time for President of the United States, once wrote, "Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure." And we are powerful beyond measure, yes, but it is not a power to control other people and to make them do what we want, but rather the power inherent in every human being. Because of our oneness with God, our true power is our God power. Until we are conscious of the nature of our power, until we learn how to use it for the good of all, we will continue to witness power in destructive ways, as we see all too often in our society. We see it all the time. It's all about power. Greed, power, you see it all the time. But the power we're talking about is that divine power, the power that we can manifest and that we can be whatever it is that we desire to be, to manifest, to experience is in us. Let us express it. Let us acknowledge it. Let us know we are indeed worthy of it. Because of our oneness with God, our true power is our God power. Now, Brené Brown, who is a great authority and author on authenticity, once gave this brilliant statement for how to behave when faced with challenging situations. Don't puff up. Don't shrink back. Stand in your power. Always, we stand in our power, we claim our good. It is the only way to live this life. Not saying it's easy to get to there, but once you're there, you're there. Nobody can knock you off. They'll try. Nobody can. It's your power. You own it. Yes. Okay. I stand in the power of God living through me and as me. Repeat this after me. I stand in the power of God living through me and as me. Yes, it is. Yes, you do. No, second, be detached from the outcome. Can we not repeating after you anymore? We are right now. You kind of jumped way ahead of me. Right now, I'm going to ask you to repeat. I release the fear.
I release the fear.
And detach from the outcome.
And detach from the outcome.
Because I know it's all God.
Because I know it's all God.
So it's all good.
So it's all good.
And finally, don't repeat it. Finally, have no investment in power or in the control of other people. So we're going to repeat this. I stand in the power of God.
I stand in the power of God.
Living through me and as me.
Living through me and as me.
And here's a very interesting final note. In his later years, Maslow explored a further dimension of needs, while saying his own vision on self-actualization was a little bit too narrow. He called the further dimension self-transcendence and said that the self finds its true actualization in giving to some higher goal outside itself, in altruism and spirituality. Altruism, giving of yourself freely and generously, and spirituality, which we're all here right now, recognizing our spirituality. And it is in altruism and spirituality that we truly capture the spirit of who we are, an expression of the divine givingness of life to its creation. That's who we are. We are worthy, and we are so worthy of so much good that we don't even know, And we keep remembering, I am the light of the world. If we remember nothing else through this holiday season, please remember, I am the light of the world. And so it is.
So it is. So it is.